You think you cracked the code. You've read the books built, the plan, optimized the process. You found the shortcut, the cheat code, the perfect move. And just when you think you've won, life folds its hand and reveals that you never even left the table. Now, imagine a being so powerful, so clever, so unstoppable. He didn't just break the rules of life. He declared war on heaven and won. His name is Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. The great sage equal to heaven. But this isn't a fairy tale. This is your story. Because what happens next isn't just about a monkey. It's about you. A cosmic lesson in ambition, illusion, and ego, all hidden in the palm of a silent Buddha. You walk into the misty legends of ancient China, not through temples or scrolls, but through a crackling fire of rebellion. A monkey born from stone refuses to be ordinary. He looks at the world and says, "No, I am more. Not just a monkey, not just another spark in the void. He wants immortality, power, respect, freedom, and through willpower and rage, he gets it. He learns 72 transformations, flies 34,000 miles in a single somersault, carries a staff that can crush mountains and hide behind his ear, becomes immortal not once, but 7 different ways. He storms the gates of heaven itself, beats its gods in battle, and names himself equal to divinity. Sounds absurd, it should, but don't laugh too fast, because you've done it too. Every time you chased success to prove you mattered, every time you looked for that one hack to skip the hard part, every time you told yourself, "I've got it all figured out," that was you standing at the gates of heaven's staff, in hand, ready to rewrite the rules of reality. But here's the paradox. The more power the Monkey King gains, the more fragile he becomes. Not physically, ego doesn't bruise that easily, but cosmically, spiritually, he's become unkillable, but completely untouchable to truth. And that's when heaven does something strange. It stops fighting. The gods, exhausted and humiliated, don't send more armies. They don't unleash more magic. They call Buddha, not for war, for wisdom. A being who doesn't need to raise a hand to defeat chaos, who doesn't need to outsmart you because you're already in his hand. And that's the moment where the story shifts, from mythology to mirror. Because if a monkey with infinite power can still be trapped by his own illusion, what does that say about you? About your hustling, your proving, your need to win before anyone else. The Monkey King laughed in the face of gods. But what happens when laughter echoes back from a single open palm? You're about to find out. Canonical quote, Dhammapada: "The fool who knows he is a fool is wise, at least to that extent. But the fool who thinks himself wise is a fool indeed." Dhammapada, verse 63. Before he was a legend, before he bent the laws of life and death, Sun Wukong was just a monkey. Not a chosen one, not the son of a god, just a stone egg cracked open by lightning on a lonely mountain. You stand there in the misty forests of Huaguo Mountain. Birds chatter in the canopy. Leaves rustle with secrets. And on a moss-covered cliff, a monkey stands upright for the very first time. Eyes like wildfire. Breath of thunder. Already different. Already dangerous. He climbs trees and cracks jokes, but there's a storm brewing under his skin. He looks at his tribe of monkeys laughing, fighting, playing, and feels it. This isn't enough. He wants more, not bananas, not status, immortality. You watch him leave his mountain walking barefoot across the world, clothed in nothing but hunger. He kneels before Taoist sages, submits to years of training, learns magic, shape-shifting combat, spiritual secrets. And then he cheats death, literally. He erases his name from the Book of the Dead. He swallows divine elixirs. He devours peaches of immortality. He stacks invincibility like it's a game of cosmic Jenga. But that's the thing about ego. It always wants more. Now, the monkey returns to heaven, not as a seeker, but as a conqueror. The gods offer him a job stable hand for their heavenly horses, a glorified janitor. He takes it briefly, and then burns it all down. You see it unfold in surreal chaos, clouds shatter like glass. Demigods are flung from the sky. Heavenly palaces crumble under the weight of a single laughing monkey who calls himself the great sage equal to heaven. He wins. He wins everything: power, status, fear. But the gods don't fear his power. They fear what it represents: a universe without boundaries. a being with nothing left to learn, only to prove. And that's when the heavenly realm panics. Not because he's unstoppable, but because he's untouchable by humility. Back on Earth, people whisper his name. In taverns, temples, dreams. They cheer for him like a hero. But Buddha sees something else. Not a god, not a demon. Just a child, lost in his own illusion. And you're watching this unfold not from above, but from inside. Because you know this feeling. You've tasted this high. The moment when everything works, the deal lands, the views spike, the world seems to orbit around you, and deep inside your ego whispers you did this. You control this. But Sun Wukong is about to learn what every conqueror eventually must. That control is the ultimate illusion. And now the gods make their last move. They call someone who doesn't fight with armies, someone who doesn't yell or threaten or plead. They call Buddha. Symbolic loop begins. The stone mountain from his birth will soon become the mountain of stillness where ego dissolves. Recurring symbol introduced the staff, the weapon that grows to hold up the heavens but shrinks behind his ear, a metaphor for potential that isn't yet understood. Canonical quote Sudanipada, though one conquers 1,000,000 men in battle, he who conquers himself is the greatest warrior. Sudanipada. You stand on a field of silence. No battle cries, no clashing swords, just a monkey and a Buddha. Sun Wukong arrives like thunder, swaggering, grinning, sparkle in his eye. Fresh off a war with heaven, ready for the next round. He expects resistance, maybe a spell, maybe a lecture, maybe another army to tear through. But instead, the Buddha just sits, still, silent, like a mountain watching a storm pass beneath it. This infuriates the Monkey King. He's used to reaction fear, awe applause, but here not even a blink. You feel Wukong's power vibrating off him like heat waves, the ability to somersault across galaxies, to lift mountains, to split clouds with a whisper. And Buddha, he doesn't move, doesn't speak. He simply raises his hand. Tell me, he says, can you escape this palm? That's it. No magic, no riddle, just a hand. Sun Wukong bursts into laughter. This is the challenge. He's traveled faster than lightning. He's been to the edges of the universe. And this calm man wants to know if he can jump off a palm. The monkey doesn't hesitate. He leaps. You watch the sky rip apart. Clouds scream past like startled birds. Mountains blur beneath him. Stars vanish in streaks of light. Sun Wukong flies faster than thought, deeper than space. He travels for what feels like hours or lifetimes. And then, in the far distance, 5 towering pink pillars appear reaching from the void below to infinity above. He lands. He's made it. The edge of existence. The pillars that hold up the sky itself. This is his proof. But proof isn't enough. He needs everyone to know he did it. So he carves into the first pillar, Sun Wukong, great sage equal to heaven, was here. But ego always needs more. He defiles the base like a territorial animal, marks it, owns it. And then, he rockets back to Buddha's hand with all the pride in the world. You watch him land smug and gleaming. I did it, he says. I flew beyond your reach. I touched the edge of the universe. I proved you wrong. And the Buddha just smiles, a gentle smile. Then slowly, he turns over his hand, and there it is. On the middle finger carved in unmistakable strokes, Sun Wukong was here. At the base of the thumb, that smell, that stain, that mark. The pillars weren't the edge of the universe. They were Buddha's fingers. The sky was his skin, the cosmos, his canvas. The Monkey King never left the palm. You feel the moment hit not just for Wukong, but for yourself. That gut punch when everything you believed about your power, your freedom, your control was just a shadow dance inside someone else's stillness. Every plan, every shortcut, every victory, still inside the palm. You've been there. That moment when you thought you were untouchable, when success felt like escape, when your ego whispered, you did it, you beat the system, only to realize the system was watching you the whole time. The Buddha doesn't mock, doesn't punish, he simply shows the truth. Because truth is its own kind of mercy. Symbolic callback. The staff becomes meaningless in this moment. No weapon can pierce the infinite. The 5 pillars were not cosmic structures, but the 5 fingers of awakening. Core insight. The illusion of freedom is the ego's last defense. But even illusion has a teacher, and his name is Stillness. Canonical quote from the Diamond Sutra: all conditioned phenomena are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow. Thus should you view them. You expect fire, punishment, divine wrath crashing down from the heavens. Because in most stories, this is where the villain gets what he deserves. But that's not what happens here. Buddha doesn't strike the Monkey King. He doesn't banish him, torture him, or strip him of his powers. He simply turns his hand over, and the same fingers that Sun Wukong mistook for the edge of the universe become a mountain. A vast, immovable weight that pins him to the earth. Just like that, the war ends. But here's the twist. The mountain isn't punishment. It's not a prison, it's a pause. You find yourself standing at the base of that mountain now. Wind howling across stone, moss growing like time itself on the cold surface. And somewhere beneath it, a monkey sits, alone. No audience, no armies, no weapons, just stillness. And for the first time in his existence, Sun Wukong cannot move. At first he rages. He screams, curses, thrashes against the weight. Because stillness feels like death when you've only known movement. But time has its own teachings. And over days, years, centuries, something begins to shift. The Monkey King begins to listen. To the silence. To the ache beneath his ego. To the truth that no battle ever revealed. That all his power, all his transformations, his victories, his immortality had never given him peace. Only motion, only distraction, and beneath that mountain, he meets someone he never knew existed, himself. The parts of him untouched by glory, the questions he never asked, the emptiness he tried to fill with proving, conquering, collecting. That mountain didn't crush him, it revealed him. You feel it too, because you've had your own mountain moments, the breakup, the business that collapsed, the job you didn't get, the silence after the storm, moments that felt like failure, but were really a sacred interruption, not to destroy you, but to stop you long enough for wisdom to catch up. Buddhism calls this the middle way, not indulgence, not denial, but the still space in between. That's where awakening begins. It's ironic, isn't it? Sun Wukong had to be pinned to the earth to realize that he'd never touched it. He chased the sky, but never stood still long enough to see the ground. Now with nowhere to run, he sees clearly for the first time that the hand he thought he escaped wasn't there to trap him. It was always trying to hold him. And maybe that's your story too. Maybe the setback wasn't failure. Maybe it was a finger gently turning into a mountain. Symbolic fulfillment. The staff is no longer a weapon, it rests in the earth like a relic. The mountain becomes the new teacher. No voice, no force, only weight. Twist reframing. The thing you feared was holding you back. Maybe the only thing keeping you from falling deeper into illusion. Canonical, quote from the Dhammapada: by oneself is evil done, by oneself is one defiled, by oneself is evil left undone, by oneself is purified. Purity and impurity depend on oneself. No one can purify another. You are the Monkey King, not in myth, not in magic, in mindset, because today you don't carry a staff that can move mountains. You carry a phone. You don't somersault across galaxies. You scroll across timelines. And you don't storm heaven's gates. You storm algorithms. But the hunger is the same. You chase growth like Sun Wukong chased immortality, a new side hustle, a better productivity hack, the perfect brand, the perfect body, more likes, more streams, more followers. Every success, a rung on the ladder. But have you ever asked, what wall is your ladder leaning against? Sun Wukong collected 7 types of immortality. You collect 7 streams of income. He defied the gods. You defy rest. He wrote his name on the edge of the universe. You put yours in every bio banner signature. And when life pins you under a mountain, a breakup, burnout, bankruptcy, you think, what did I do wrong? But maybe you did nothing wrong. Maybe you just reached the edge of the illusion. And the illusion cracked. Because that's what Buddha teaches. Not how to escape suffering by becoming more powerful, but how to dissolve the illusion of control that causes suffering in the first place. In the West, we're told, you are the architect of your destiny. Manifest it. Hustle harder. Don't sleep. But Buddhism whispers something else. You are not the architect. You are the sky that holds the architecture. Let go and see clearly. Think about it. Sun Wukong wasn't trapped by Buddha. He was trapped by the one thing no god could break. His own belief that he was in control. And so are you. That's why your plans unravel. That's why your perfect launch crashes. That's why the more you try to bend life to your will, the more life folds itself around you, quietly smiling. You've had Buddha's hand beneath you this whole time. It looked like that deal falling through, that friendship ending, that painful stillness you called failure. But maybe it wasn't failure. Maybe it was the fingertips of awakening. You remember the 5 pink pillars Wukong thought they were the edge of the universe. They were fingers. You've seen them too. The 5-day burnout. The 5-year plan gone sideways. The 5 messages you keep sending and never get answered. Each one a finger. Not punishing you, just reminding you never left the palm. And here's the most radical idea of all. Stillness isn't the opposite of success. Stillness is what reveals which kind of success actually matters. So pause, take a breath. Let the mountain press down just a little. And ask, who am I without the proving? Who am I if no one sees me succeed? Who am I if I stop trying to escape? Because maybe your stillness isn't your failure. Maybe it's your freedom, symbol recurrence. The mountain returns now as metaphor for burnout, pause, resistance. The palm reappears not cosmic now, but hidden in ordinary life moments. Modern mirror key insight. The ego seeks escape through effort. Wisdom arises when you realize you were never trapped. Canonical quote itivuttaka. The world is led by craving, bound by craving, smothered by craving. But those who see craving for what it is are released from its grasp. No more noise, no more victories, no more escape. Just silence. You sit beneath the same mountain now, not as Sun Wukong, not as a warrior, just as yourself. The world no longer asks you to prove anything. And for the first time, you're not trying to prove anything to it either. You feel at the stillness that once felt like defeat, now feels like a kind of truth. The mountain is not heavy today. It's sacred. It presses not to punish you, but to show you how deeply rooted your restlessness had become. And now that it's still, you can hear things you never heard before. The whisper of breath, the space between thoughts, the echo of a question you always ran from. What if the thing I was running toward was never as real as the thing I was running from? This is the turning point. Not with fire, not with force, but with surrender. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the kind that gives in. The kind that melts resistance like snow in sunlight. The kind that reveals who you are beneath all the effort, ego, and armor. You don't need to be impressive here. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be loud. You just need to be with yourself. That's the secret Buddha was offering all along. Not domination, compassion. Compassion for the part of you that keeps striving. Compassion for the part that's afraid to stop. Compassion for the monkey mind that jumps from branch to branch, trying to make sense of a world that was never meant to be caught. So, you sit, with the ache, with the silence, with the weight. And something miraculous happens. You don't fall apart. You start to hear your own voice again. The one that's been buried beneath productivity and performance. The voice that whispers not how to win, but how to be. This is the heart of every spiritual path. Not more power, not more knowledge, just the courage to be still in a world that never stops moving. Sun Wukong sits for 500 years. Not because he's weak, but because the strongest thing he ever did was stop fighting. And maybe that's what you're being invited into now. A season of stillness, a sacred pause, a chance to feel what you've been avoiding. And in that stillness, you begin to transform. Not in the way the world celebrates, but in the way only silence can see. You once believed the palm was a prison, but maybe it was always a sanctuary, symbolic resolution. The mountain softens, it is no longer resistance but revelation. The palm is re-seen not as a trap, but as a cradle. Emotional truth. Stillness doesn't come after success. Stillness is what lets you know what success actually means. Canonical quote, Dhammapada. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. You rise, not to fight, not to fly, but to walk. Slowly, consciously, as if the earth beneath your feet matters now. Because it does. The mountain has not vanished, but something inside you has changed. The part of you that needed to escape it gone. After 500 years of stillness, Sun Wukong does not emerge with vengeance. He emerges with vision. He does not reach for his staff. He does not shout his title. He simply bows. To the world, to the silence, to the truth that held him when he could not hold himself. And that's your invitation too. Not to become more, but to become less attached to the idea of more. Not to prove your worth, but to see you were never unworthy to begin with. You thought the goal was to escape the palm, to fly farther, jump higher, break through the illusion. But now you understand. You never left, because there was nowhere to leave. The palm isn't a boundary, it's a mirror that showed you your ambition, your ego, your craving. And then through silence, it showed you your essence. Maybe this is the real meaning of awakening. Not some bolt of cosmic lightning, not a glowing third eye, but a quiet realization that you're home. Even here, even now, even in the pause you once feared. Let go of the story that says you have to keep flying. Let go of the fear that stillness means failure. Let go of the myth that wisdom lives somewhere far away. Because Buddha never raised his voice, never chased the monkey. He just opened his hand and waited. You were never trapped. You were held. So now the final question isn't, how do I escape? It's, how will I walk now that I know I never left? You carry no staff, no armor, no title. Just this, the sacred knowledge that all your striving was never wasted. It was the path that brought you here, to this moment, to this silence, to this awareness, symbolic closure. The palm returns one last time, not as setting or symbol, but as insight. The mountain, the staff, the sky all dissolve into a deeper stillness. You see, now Buddha's palm was never trying to contain you. It was trying to wake you. Canonical quote, Mahaparinibbana Sutta, be a lamp unto yourselves. Work out your own salvation with diligence. And with that, the story softens. No ending, no answer, just an opening. Because the question remains, what is your mountain trying to teach you? And what will you discover when you finally stop trying to escape the palm